You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Kennon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, every Monday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on this fine radio dial right here, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. And if you're listening to us from afar, maybe you're listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you like to stream, well, we are a live radio show as well as streaming. You'll hear us a few days later. Every week, our Monday show is then taken over to Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere else you like to listen or stream. And, of course, you can check us out on YouTube and like and subscribe us there. You don't want to miss a show. Every show is brand new, different guests, and, of course, we have a different outfit of the day, Hans Kennon over here. You'll never see the same dapper suit attire in any one show. And I dare you, go back and check out all the shows. At no time will you see the same ensemble. There you go. I like that. What's going on, Hans?
How you doing, Richie? Good. Everything's good. I was watching, I become like a meteorologist now. And I'm like the highs coming in off the Midwest. And, I'm doing
I did check out Mike's weather page beforehand. and we're a Category 5 situation. And right now, 908 millibars right now. It's super low. And so what that means is holy crap.
Exactly. So I'm watching all season. I'm trying to understand more about high pressures, low pressures. I feel like on the weather, and there's a low pressure coming out of Sudan, on the African continent. That'll be coming across the.
That's going to intersect and then draw it in and then push it to the northeast, even though it's going west right now. So
I'm doing a lot of that more recently than probably anything else.
That's great.
No, things have been good. I did Angela, a producer. I did her show last week.
Nice.
So that was nice to do, and it was good. I'm very excited because we have an insurance agent with us tonight.
Yes, we do. That's part of my special show of this evening and this week is talking about insurance. And this is fantastic because many of our consumers ask us, they ask me, they ask you in all given times, and your standard answer is like, what insurance company do I sue the least? And so
they're the best.
Right, they're the best to go to. So now we have a much fresher perspective here on somebody that sells insurance products, and it's Dave from Brightway Insurance. What's going on, Dave? How are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll bet right now Dave won't give us any name of anyone he likes over some others.
Right. Well, I did ask him before the show what his favorite insurance companies are, what's been selling right now.
Oh, there you go.
And Tower Hill is not only some of our favorites or whatever, but that's on top of his list. Dave, who else would you say that instead of like what's most popular? What are the policies that you're selling the most right now?
I'd say on the home side, Tower Hill, along with Frontline, probably Edison and Florida Peninsula.
Okay, they're all folks that know me. So nothing wrong with that. We
and overall great
done.
policies and some things. And we were talking about like one thing that we've talked about on the show that I know that Florida Penn has and Edison has, which is that as long as you know about it, everything's about education, right? I mean, when you accept a policy, you're accepting everything within there. And sometimes you'll have limitations, you'll have caps. The mold cap is normal. You'll see a 10,000. You can upgrade to 25 or 50 usually. Every home after water damage usually has some sort of mold, so you want to make sure you have some sort of coverage for that. Water damage usually is under coverage A.
Also have the LWD, the limited water damage endorsement. Often it comes into play these days also.
And not on Florida Penn Edison policies. I haven't seen that endorsement on those. I think Dave could tell us more. Have you been seeing limited water damage endorsements on more and more carrier policies? Or
it's definitely available on more and more carrier policies. It used to be more kind of age related on the home, on how old the home was, but we're seeing more and more of it where it is available if a company or if a client would like to maybe reduce costs to get the lower coverage.
Here's a question that's always getting me, because I never actually necessarily know, is for certain endorsements and certain things, certain limitations or caps on recovery, there's always some discount on premium. And whenever, and since I don't have those on my policy either, I'm always curious, what is, generally speaking, if there is a generally speaking, the savings, if I were to accept an LWD where I limit my water damage, limited water damage endorsement, does that save me $50 or $100? Or is there any sort of scale? because I figure when clients call you, everybody wants to save some money, right? I mean, I'm the first one to go, hey, can you do better on that policy? What can I do without?
I just had to get insurance on one of mine. Turned into a wind mitt. I saved $1,000 for the year.
Yeah, right. It's amazing. So I guess the better question is, what can folks do to help save themselves some money without necessarily, limiting themselves away from too much coverage?
That's a great question, because to me, that's the better way to go. I mean, to limit coverage, because most people don't understand the insurance anyway. You'd say limited, water all you want. They have no idea what that really means unless you get into the weeds with it.
Right.
Things you mentioned, the wind mitigation inspections, there's a lot of discounts as far as like safety features on a home, whether it's an alarm. Everybody's doing water sensors nowadays, which, it's not a bad thing, right? If it turns off your water or alerts you if you got a water leak going, why not? Because, water claims can be quite devastating.
Sure.
The wind mitigation, like you said, $1,000. I've seen it $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Just depends kind of where you live, if your home's on the coast or whether it's inland, that kind of stuff. Updates your home, plumbing. If your plumbing's updated, if it's depends on the age of your home. A lot of it, the age of the home dictates on some of the coverages. Limited water sometimes is based, again, if it's age 30 or 40 years old, you might not have a choice. But
right.
To answer your question, like to offer limited water on a newer home or something that doesn't need it, why would you do that? If you want to take a chance, maybe raise your deductible a little bit, instead of a $500 or $1,000, maybe you can do a $2,500 to save some money that way.
Right.
You're not sacrificing coverage. You're just sacrificing a little bit more out of your pocket, as long as you understand that, because that's the way you explain it to people.
Right.
Whatever you're willing to come out of pocket, and then insurance will pick up the rest, or they should pick up the rest, is what we're hoping for.
Right.
Now, does Brightway also offer bundling with auto? Do you guys sell auto insurance as well?
I do. We do. I'd love to tell you that's almost a thing of the past here, right? So some of the big name companies, State Farm, I don't think Allstate does it. AAA might still be out there. But as far as my home companies, Tower Hill only does home, right? They don't do auto. Progressive, they're probably one of the last few that I do sell that does offer a bundle if you can get it, but it depends.
I heard Geico was doing home now. Anybody? I thought if
they had auto, then I heard, you can add on the home or something.
I think they'll bundle. They may have a deal with some of the insurance companies out there, like a Security First, where they can.
I guess Geico doesn't have their own.
They do not.
Okay, because I heard something on property, and I was like, Geico's going to actually like. Well, I thought they might buy like Progressive bought ASI to form Progressive. I thought maybe Geico was buying somebody up, or maybe they're just contracting. Hey, if you give it auto with us, we'll help you. Get a deal with whoever for home. Again, just kind of in the wind kind of stuff.
I know they've always been big on Security First, so which is a company that we use as well. But that's the one company that I think Geico has used the most. If they're doing their own home product, I've not been made aware yet, but you never know.
Now, let me say this: how much does we see roof schedules now, like with Ken, Ken always jumps to mind as having one.
Not a fan of Ken. Now you wouldn't sell Ken. I think you said that you don't sell surplus lines policies.
Ken is their own thing, right? So if you want Ken, you got to call Ken.
But Ken's not a surplus line.
No, they're an admitted company, but
they are. I thought they were not.
I think you have to call. You have to call them directly.
Okay,
which is not something that we work with. We don't work with Ken.
Right. Anyone you work with have the roof schedule? Have the declining? The older your roof gets, the less they pay, even if they owe you for a full roof replacement.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, double-edged sword there. So while it has given us the availability to offer carriers to people that wouldn't take you normally. So if you come in with a 15-plus year shingle roof, you're not really, other than Citizens, which I know most people know about. That other than that policy, you're probably not going to get, every insurer, if you don't do the roof schedule, is going to turn you down. So again, it's kind of a give and take, because it's.
And these days that you hear more and more that at 15 years, no matter what, on an asphalt shingle, a lot of carriers want the roof. If you're buying or selling or want to renew, they're looking for a replacement at 15 these days.
Correct, yeah.
Right. Well, I know we had a law that passed in 23. It said if you have 5 years or more, then they cannot turn you down.
Cannot non-renew you?
Right, non-renew. Or is it not accept?
I don't think they have to then write you a new policy.
So, but I know that got pretty popular for a while. Inspection companies,
was a big deal, yeah.
Right, writing on life expectancy, more than 5 years, plus 5 years.
It seemed to drop off a little bit. Maybe I'm just not tied into the market. It seemed like that inspection.
It kind of died.
To die off. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's gotten better. It's pretty much 15 or less. Most home insurance companies are still open. That 5-year rule usually comes in either on new citizens, of course, is 5 years or more on a roof. Once the roof gets over 15, so if you're staying with your insurance company, in many cases, they'll want you to get an inspection done that says 5 or more remaining, and if not, then they may take action or non-renew you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. So Brightway is not just selling home insurance, but you sell auto. Well, would you say you sell a fair amount of both, or are you more home than auto?
We do. Definitely more home. I mean, that's, again, just the availability of carriers. We have, 10 times probably more home insurance carriers than we do auto. We got some great auto companies, though, too. They work with independents like Travelers, Progressive, Mercury, Safeco, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, great companies for sure. Travelers always great on the home side of things. So I'd love to see more Travelers policies for sure.
Yeah,
seem to have great policies, HO3s that are just not that restrictive.
Yeah.
They have your typical mold caps and such like that. You'll start to see more caps. I'll pick on universal insurance, for instance, where they before used a pretty wide open policy, and then like you were discussing, they started to introduce other types of caps or limitations that would lower the premium, but greatly erodes the coverage and that you have in the insurance policy. So, for instance, like $5,000 sewer backup, $10,000 limited water damage, which just to dry out alone would cost you $10,000 on a big water loss. So to be able to try to put the flooring back and everything else. And then you have other limitations that we have to be cautious for, because as long as you know it in advance and you're saving up for it, like your comment about, instead of going to $500 or $1,000 deductible, you could save some money, by going to $2,500, or I've seen $5,000.
Sure.
And you're saving that. You have that in a savings account. You put a $20 in a savings account and say, okay, this is my deductible money, and you know what you're doing. But I've seen people do the inverse and just say, give me the cheapest policy and not save up, and then be shocked when a claim does come about when they actually need all the money. We feel bad for them. The guy that had very little additional building coverage, and a plane falls out of the sky, and literally there's nothing you can do about it. Mm-hmm. And the carrier was so fast to write the $9,000 check because that's all they had for it. Even though it did a lot more damage, and you want to feel bad.
That was actually, I had that case. It was like a $500,000 home, and they had like 2% coverage B. Coverage B being other structures. And they had a big, it held an RV. It was a big building, and a plane crashed into the building. And they called me, and they go, hey, they're only paying us, I think it was $9,000. I'm like, well, let me see your policy. I'm like, no, I can't. And I'm like, well, you only have 2% of coverage A coverage. I'm like, I don't even know how you got it that low. Normally you see, you have A, and A is kind of the barometer. And then, B will be sometimes 20, 30, 40% of coverage A. C for personal property, a lot of times half, give or take. Loss of use, again, maybe 20%.
20%. Yeah.
So, but this guy somehow had tiny coverage on a big building. And like I said, and Allstate was like, here you go, here's your $9,000, man. They were like, there you go, sir. We'll be out of here. We'll be out of here shortly.
Yeah.
But yes, so we do see that, and that's when I stop and I go, does the agent? I said, did the agent know you have a warehouse on the backyard? He's like, I don't know. I said, you want to make that call, one thing I'll say to consumers too, if you have things, I had somebody today who opened they had a warehouse on their property, residential property, and they opened a gym. It's out in Arcusia, I think there's maybe no zoning or something. They opened a gym, and I'm like, you gotta let somebody know that. You can't just do that.
Right, yeah.
And then something happens and you go, oh, I didn't know. I said, place whatever liability coverage, a CGL policy, commercial general, something. You can't just do stuff like that and not tell somebody. I always tell people it's like collections. If you happen to have a lot of thimbles, that might be a collection, or a lot of, your Dale Earnhardt plate series, and you have them over your house when, there's limits on collections under coverage C.
Yep.
You have a $2,000, $2,500 limit on a collection, and you just think you got a bunch of stuff. But you spend $15,000 on it over a course of 5, 10, 20 years, and house burns down. You go, well, I have those 25 plates. You go, 25. Do you collect those plates, sir? Well, I do like to have them. So it's a collection. All of a sudden, but otherwise you'd have to get you have to go get a rider, and then insure them. It's all the things you got to do. But it's just funny. People like collect or have a tiny amount on a big building or things. And that's when I always tell people, you got to tell the agent can't help you unless you tell him what you have, because he may not know if you have any collections. You may want to tell him you have a collection. You may want to tell him you got a 5,000 square foot building in your backyard, or you're going to open a gym on your property, stuff like that.
Well, that brings up a great question for you, Dave. I mean, what's the I don't know, it's the craziest request that you've gotten to insure? I mean, a crazy collection or anything it's inside somebody's home. Oh, let me tell you about the Mona Lisa that I just
my
got
Picasso
stolen the other day.
that I got.
Did you see an article that got stolen this morning or something?
What?
The Mona Lisa?
No.
Yeah,
The Louvre got broken into, and they stole like $100 million worth of diamonds last week. But they already caught at least 2 of the guys, if not all 4 of them.
Wow.
But yeah, they took a lift. They got like a scissor lift, and went up and knocked through the window, went in, knew exactly where to go, stole from 2 cases only, and left on scooters. And it turns out the Germans, of which of that my descent, are not known to be humorful people. The owner of the company that makes the lift, that's German, took out an ad in German papers and said, when you really got to make sure it works right, buy our scissor lift, whatever. It was the one who broke into the Louvre. So there's an insurance claim for you, right? Those guys.
Criminals.
Oh man. But on these items in the home, has there been just an odd request that you're just like, I
want to insure what?
Right.
Probably nothing too odd. What's funny when it comes to that, though, is that, the insurance companies, they don't make it easy to insure some of that stuff sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. So you got, whether it's jewelry or collectibles, like you were saying, they make you jump through some hoops sometimes, right? You got to get appraisals, and you got to, and a lot of times people end up, forget about it. It's a little bit too much work and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I would say probably the biggest one, $50,000 watch or something, that I said, this is all you got to do, and then never hear from it again. So and it's hard to say. I had a client once that had all this stuff that was telling me he was pinning me against other agents until we all know we run reports in the background. They check everything. They check clue and claims and all that stuff in his history. And, we won't mention any names, but he had stolen this, stolen that, theft this, theft that. He had 3 cars that were stolen in the last 3 years.
He's unlucky.
And he's competing me. My famous line is, we can be friends, we just can't do business, and I'm okay with that.
Right. Oh, man.
Well, like State Farm's policy used to say if you have 3 losses in 3 losses in 3 years, whether at fault or not, like we have the right to non-renew you. And a guy came to me and he had like 2 that weren't his fault, and 1 that was, and they non-renewed him and dropped him, and he was just bugged by it. And I said, sir, they can non-renew you under this policy just because you're unlucky. Because at some point, luck seems to run with some people and not with others. So I said, but either way, so he had two non-at-fault accidents, and they still non-renew him. They're like, we can be friends, but we can't do business. You're too unlucky. You're too unlucky for us to insure you anymore.
So the steps for the watch, was it the appraisal, turn the paperwork in, and all that such, just to get the quote?
Yeah,
and
that's all it was. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Never heard back. So.
Wow. Well, I'll just stay with my little Samsung watch over here.
Plus, you need photos and stuff like that. So, you have to prove that you actually have the item, too. So, sometimes that may play into it. You never know.
Today's newspaper, your arm, the watch, the photo, proof of life.
Paper.
Proof of life. That kind of thing. Don't pay the ransom.
With and with new home insurance carriers coming in the market, are you starting to see the effects of that? I've seen some articles that we're either seeing some insurance companies either lower their rates or file for no increases at all, and they're saying due to competition in the market and obviously stabilization and law changes and such like that. What have you seen on your side?
So recently seen some actual rate decreases. Now, I may not keep up on all the things going on, the statutes and stuff, but a lot of insurance companies were incentivized. I mean, I know the state at one point, because the last thing we want to go back to is having citizens insure 80% of all the homes in Florida. Again, we don't want to get to that. So
some of the numbers we're about. Okay, there's 6.5 million to 7 million like HO3 policies that exist.
Yeah,
and they had about 1.3 million, 1.4 at one time, and they're down to
650.
Are they down that low now?
So.
That's thank goodness.
Close,
a sixth of the market, man. Is
so.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's that depopulation, which a lot of those new companies you're talking about that don't sell to the public yet, but they're getting a big chunk of policies from citizens as part of their portfolio, and then they insure them.
I saw Mangrove pop up.
They're all ones that are good for license plates.
Yeah,
because they're like Manatee.
Right. Yeah. Or the Mangrove.
Loggerhead,
it's like
Mangrove.
Yeah. I've got Loggerhead on my house.
Yeah, Loggerhead's on the open market now, so they have I know because I use them now as well. But there's a few, like you said, Manatee, Tail Row. There's a few out there that are still just taking citizens policies, but to me, good for the market. And then the state has come out, and basically the way I say it, the way I think of it in a nutshell, is that insurance companies are being incentivized to either not raise rates, or even I've seen rate decreases with some of these carriers in order for the state to help with the reinsurance cost.
Right.
So they're offering them a little help on that part of it in order to lower costs, because we don't want people going back to the citizens. We don't want to be back to that, because that's a horrible time for everybody.
What's interesting is Frontline has a declining deductible. I think over five. Maybe your first 5 years of insurance. If you have no claims, like there's literally a step down.
Correct.
Your deductible actually goes down by contract, which most people don't know. I applied it once, and the other guy was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Dude, it's like page 5, man. You got to read these things." And he was like, "What?" I said, "There's a declining deductible on this policy."
Sure.
And he was just like, it was the lawyer on behalf of Frontline was just like, you're just completely like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Frontline's a good company. They had most of the coastal stuff covered in the Panhandle. I'm glad to hear that they're writing some inland claim or some policies. That's great. Pretty good company. And I'm so glad you brought up reinsurance and how much that cost us Floridians. And that's the major bulk of the cost. I'm so glad you brought that up. I mean, every year, we would see in the last 10 years that there would be a moving boogeyman of reasons that the insurance companies have to raise rates.
Right.
And and they're just, it's the attorneys, it's the roofers, it's this, so they can get their, let's eliminate attorney's fees. Let's put a roof schedule on there.
It was you too, Richie, not just roofers and attorneys. It was Richie Kidwell.
It was, anyways, whatever. We won't go on that subject, but was it just me? We're treating everybody right, just so making sure only the good claims got paid. And so, but we would find the facts and the real cost behind it, and 50 to 60 cents on every dollar that's paid out to property insurance goes to reinsurance. Most people don't know that, and you have to have more. Then that leaves a very small margin for the insurance companies to pay claims, and they are capped at 5% of profit in the main Florida company. So, as you know, we saw a lot of the articles that showed the reasons why we had such a, we had such a massive increase of property premiums here in the state of Florida that now we're seeing like just 5% and 3% decreases when they had like 150%, but whatever. I digress. Yeah. But at least it's going in the right direction now. It's going back down, and again, we start to see more competition. But again, going back on the reinsurance rates. Now, reinsurance is insurance for insurance companies when they get hit with a named storm, an event like a hurricane. So they have 18 months to turn this in. It's reimbursement for a percentage of their claims, and so that's what we need to understand. Until we get more reinsurance competitors in this market, will we really start to see a bigger decline in insurance rates?
Right.
At least my opinion. So, but the last 30 seconds here, obviously we have more time here, but I'd love to hear how we get a hold of you, Dave. Want to look for insurance, talk insurance, sell insurance. How do we get a hold of you?
All right. So, easy for me, and I got the easiest name in the world. My name is David Jones. So I am david.jones@brightway.com. My office is in DeBerry. Had one in Longwood that I sold, but I am in Volusia County as far as my office goes. I live in Oviedo, but I'm pretty heavy in all of Central Florida. So,
and what's a good contact phone number for you?
It is 321-280-5203.
All right, we'll take a break. Give some thanks to our sponsors. We'll be right back. All right, we're back live. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell every Monday night. We're right here, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. The Answer is how else you can find us or listen to us live. We do have a live call-in number. You feel like calling, heckling us, asking some questions. You have a question for Dave at Brightway Insurance. Now's your time to call 407-774-8255. That's 407-774-8255. If you're listening on streaming, do not call that number because it won't be the same. I think we literally come up on like Thursday of that same week. So, and it's so funny that the younger folks, when you say that, hey, we're on, and I'm so old by saying that, God dang it. So like the 20-year-olds, let's say that. We're like, yeah, there's a live radio show we're doing tonight, and we're on streaming. They're like, I get the streaming thing, but what does that mean?
Radio.
When you're on the radio. I'm like, like talk radio, like, because all their talk radio now that they consume is all on streaming now, too. So they're even more confused when I'm like, no, talk radio. They're like, yeah, I can just go on Spotify and listen to it. I'm like, no, never mind.
So when I say, don't touch that dial. What? Dial a what? I don't have a dial.
On my phone? Like, what are you talking about?
I don't have any dials on my phone.
My goodness.
It's all touchscreen.
But many different ways to listen to us. iTunes, Spotify, and on YouTube. We are sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida. Check us out there, raflorida.org. Contractors for contractors here in the state of Florida. Now, we've even taken that a little bit further and included consumers in here because, as you know, I mean, contractors are only as strong as consumer rights here in the state of Florida. And as contractors helping insureds, helping homeowners here in the state of Florida get whole again after a major loss, catastrophe. This is what we bring to you, information of like, how can I save money on my insurance? How can I buy the right insurance policy? And who do I go to? Who do I call? Those types of things are answered here on the show. And it's great to have Dave with Brightway. They have more insurance providers. I know back in the heyday, they had like 50 insurance providers. You would really need to go more, because I say about this, make sure you shop agents just as well as you shop insurance companies, because they may have, other deals going on with other insurance companies. And Brightway is one of the bigger ones, meaning that they offer more insurance companies than the average agency. That's why it's exciting to have you on today, Dave, because it's like when you call you, it's like calling 20 insurance companies at once. Right. And that's just fantastic. It cuts our time down, which everybody is for convenience these days. Mm-hmm. So if I can just call David.Jones at Brightway Insurance or Brightway.com?
Just Brightway.com.
There it is. I mean, it can't be any more difficult. It really can't.
Or easy.
Yeah. Either way. I like the double insurance better, but anyway, double negative is always good. But yeah, I mean, and I just asked you offline about condo insurance. You're like, yeah, I got you. And you guys also sell auto. So it's one-stop shop if you're trying to bundle or not bundle or just get anything for your home, auto, or condo situation. Right. Do you do renters insurance as well too?
Renters insurance, rental properties, DPs,
CGL type stuff?
We do, yeah. A little bit. Small crime. I mean, I wouldn't say Brightway is your go-to for like large commercial buildings, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, we do commercial auto. We do, CGs, GL policies, that kind of stuff as well.
Okay.
Oh, that's great to know.
Yep.
That is good.
That's excellent.
Who knew? Yeah. Who knew? See, you don't know until you come on the show.
Yeah. The building I have in Altamont, I use Cincinnati Insurance here in Florida. And my mom's from Cincinnati. Maybe that's how I got it. Anyways, but
I'm sure that's how that works. I'm sure that's why.
That's all I had to say. Is like, my mom's from there. And they're like, okay, I got you. What do you know about them? Are they other insurance companies coming into Florida? Great premium. Haven't filed any claims. I have no idea how they are on the claim side of things. The premium is fantastic. So I'm always scratching my head wondering, okay, is this deal too good to be true?
Yeah.
It's half a Progressive.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah. We see that, especially with new companies into Florida. And I don't know if Cincinnati is. I mean, I used Cincinnati when I was selling insurance in California. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati was big. But, any new insurance company comes in, they always come in low. I mean, it's just kind of the way, because that's how they get their, they get more policies. They get more customers. Yep. Mm-hmm. They get you for a couple of years, and then usually you see the rates go up. So, I mean, that is what makes, Brightway unique in my office. And I agree with you. Not only shop insurance companies, but shop agents.
And Dave, let me ask you this. Our opinions on this have changed over the years. We used to talk about people should shop their homeowners insurance like every few years. Mm-hmm. Give it time, and then when they changed the statute, they only gave you 2 years to make a claim. We kind of said, well, try every 2 years because that's going to give you the claim window. Now, that's actually just now 1 year you have to make a claim if you have one. How often do you think, is this like auto seems to be easy to shop. If people change auto carriers, like we changed ours from Geico to Allstate one day. We're like, hey, we should look into this. And we found a great deal. We're like, okay, let's shift. I called all the kids, said, here, new ID's coming. And you just shift. But homeowners always seems to take more effort if you got to get a new 4-point or new wind mitigation, things like that. But how often would you recommend shopping your homeowner's premium these days? Every year, every other year? Is continuity going to help you in some ways with some people? Or
I mean, I think right now, especially, I'll be honest, we have never been busier. I mean, it is because there are so many companies that are open right now. So now is a great time to shop because everybody is. And, quotes are free, or at least they should be for most people, other than a little bit of time.
I got to call Dave.
Yep. Shop it out and see. If the market's stable, right now we're seeing things are pretty good right now. It really depends on rates. There aren't many that are going crazy or through the roof right now. If they are, it's either claim related, roof age related, or something somewhere is a little haywire, or a company maybe just trying to get out of a certain area. I mean, because if they do it for you, they got to do it for your neighbor as well. So home insurance really just depends. You get a good agent that, it's willing to communicate with you, whether it's through phone or email, you can do it that way. Auto is about as stable as we've seen it now, too. Rates are down a little bit, even on auto, because that, post-COVID, things went through the roof. Everything got expensive. Nobody was back to work. You name it, different reasons or excuses, I would say. But that has even come down now. So,
what's your phone number again? Well, I got my phone.
321 280 5203.
203. Excellent.
There you go. And David.Jones@brightway.com. Boom. Just like
got it, man.
Yeah, just like that. I love it. And so I have a question for you. Have you had a client in the past several months that you just could not insure?
Through no fault of your own.
Yeah,
right, so of course. Just because like you were saying, age related or something like that, but I know other folks were having trouble getting insurance, but Citizens was like, you can get, but maybe you wanted a different choice.
Like they got a thatched hut or something.
I can't honestly say I've had a client or somebody that's called that I couldn't help recently, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
it might be an eligible carrier, but you know, one versus another. Oh, this one's eligible and this one's not. Right. So, but you've had a solution for anybody that's asked you for insurance.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the one probably
like maybe on the coast near a beach or something like that.
Yeah, because I mean, there's not much. There's still a few areas that are Citizens only, but then if your house is too big and the coverage is too much, Citizens won't take you anyway, right? So it's up to $699.
Over $750 or
$699. Yeah, if it's $700 or higher, they will not accept you.
On an appraisal or purchase?
It's on the replacement value of the home. So if it typically, I mean, it depends on the area, but if the home, once you're over about 3,000 square foot, you're probably not getting Citizens because their replacement estimate's going to be too high. It's going to put it over. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, claims related, if you got a real claim heavy person, that can be tough. I had mentioned to you earlier that I do a lot of excess surplus stuff. I mean, I think there are agencies and agents that do that or that maybe specialize in that. I'm not one of them. Mm-hmm. I stick more to the admitted stuff, that's going to write your standard replacement cost policy, that kind of stuff, not limiting water, that kind of stuff. So, I like to stick to that. That's, again, and I that is a true statement that I made when I have literally told people we can be friends, just can't do business. It's not an insult. It's just a way of saying I'm not your guy. And I don't want to be everybody's guy, right? Because there are clients that, can be a little bit tough. So
sure. Or have like oceanfront properties. I was trying to go back in my head and just remember folks that were telling me, well, it's hard to find insurance, or I cannot find insurance, and I live here. Right. I live in Key West, or I live near a canal or a waterway or a beach, or too close to
Superfund.
Sure, yeah, and
Chernobyl.
Right, so middle of nowhere. My point is that I was like, well, that can't be true, because when you look at all the registered admitted insurance companies in the state of Florida, it's a long list. It's hundreds long. I've downloaded the list before. 900 in total. Half of them were auto, and the other half were home, and then some of them, bundled. So and I saw the same name on it. So I was like, guys, at least 400 exist, for property. I'm like, that's a lot of insurance companies. So and even the ones that we haven't heard of, the new ones coming in the market, but not all of them would write in a certain zip code or certain exposure. Right. So that's where you start to become limited to, 10, 20, 30 insurance companies. So, but it is good to have an agent of Brightway, because they do have more insurance companies that they write for than the normal agent. And many times, and you echoed that too, just, not only shopping, insurance companies, but agents, and as many as makes you feel comfortable. But at least, if you call Dave, you got, at least 20 insurance companies you're going to be looking at, and that saves you a lot of time right there. For sure. Right. And I love the fact that that you offer a solution to small business owners and maybe somebody that's renting, or maybe somebody that's in an apartment. Sure. Because that's also, you live in an apartment. How many times have I heard of water gets in and damages people's contents, right? And they're not properly covered.
One problem too with leases these days, and happened to my son up in Tennessee, is you have to buy $10,000 worth of coverage when you sign a lease for your apartment. And so my kid and his roommates all thought that meant they had $10,000 worth of contents coverage, but it's $10,000 of liability coverage in case they destroy the apartment or cause something to leak. And destroy it. So it says, you agree to purchase, the way they worded it, you agree to purchase $10,000 in coverage. But they don't. All they know is
I'm leaving that place a mess up to $10,000. You better believe it. I'm getting my penny's worth, every dollar's worth.
And I think they almost did that. But either way, but the policy though, and I said, no, man, that's not for your stuff. And I've had other people call me, and people go, hey, I have $10,000 in coverage that came with my apartment. I go, no, it didn't. That's liability coverage. That's in case you destroy their apartment, you have a fire, something happens. I said, but that's not to protect you. That's to protect them. So if you have an apartment and think you got coverage, you should call Dave.
That's right. That's right. And another way is checking on the Office of Insurance Regulation in the state of Florida has a website. You can check for insurance companies that write in your zip code for both home and auto right there, and it'll help you out, give you a list of insurance companies that write in your area. So check that out, as well as give Dave a call. David.jones@brightway.com is how you get a hold of him. But we're talking about insurance, finding the right insurance for you, whether it being a higher deductible, a lower premium, or maybe a lower deductible, slightly higher premium, more coverage, more options. And as we've been saying, there are much more options that you think of, that you think you have these days in insurance. So check us out here on this show for sure. But we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. All right. We're back live. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell right here, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial, The Answer, and live on streaming. And a few days later, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you like to stream, as well as then boom, on over to YouTube. Like us, subscribe us there. All different ways to consume the show right here, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. A lot of good stuff. And on the break, I think we should bring up some of these questions that we have in the last, we have a good amount of time left, about 13 minutes left here, but some questions that maybe consumers would have. Angela had a good point here. Some things that people might not know is if I have a claim on my home, can I call my agent and have them help me out with my claim, or do I have to call the carrier?
Right. So it depends. So it depends on the carrier you got.
That's a law school.
That is.
They told me two things in law school. Like I'd always say, I don't know. It depends.
Yeah.
There you go.
Great term in the insurance world. It really does depend on the company you have. Like if you mentioned like State Farm, they can probably handle a lot. I don't get really involved too much in claims itself, but I do tell all my clients, call me if you're not sure. Like if you got to ask a question or you're not sure about something, call me first. Because the first thing, anytime you call your insurance company, hey, I got a water spot on my thing. Okay, and as they're typing up your claim, you're not asking to make a claim, but it is now a claim. And so you get hit with a water claim because you saw a spot up on your ceiling. So to me, and that's what's important about an agent, find a good agent. And not everybody wants an agent. Some people don't care. They like the online stuff. They're happy with that. Mm-hmm. But if you're more concerned, if you're a homeowner and you own your home and you got some stuff to protect, you got to get a good agent because you got to have somebody you can talk to run that stuff through. So I always tell people, it doesn't matter. Call me, text me, email me. It does not matter. Let's talk about it first, because the last thing I want you to do is, maybe make a mistake. We can hash it out, talk it out, see if it's worth making a claim.
I can tell you, it'll reveal my age, but when I had a travel agent who did everything for me, life was easier. You may think, modern people may think, young people may think, doing all themselves on Expedia and everything else is the way to go, and it's easier and all this stuff.
No.
Trust me when I tell you, in the day of the travel agent, I'm going to call Don and go, hey, I got to go to Dallas. All right, just set up. Thanks. Just let me know. Bye. And then she call and go, I have 2 tickets, and here's the times you can go. Now here's a hotel, and the keys are there. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and now I'm like, got to pick your car and pick your thing and do this and drop this off and sign for and all that stuff. So, and I agree with Dave. Having a good agent it really is critical because they're going to guide you through some of the things that you don't understand, and there are things you are not going to understand. I'll give you one quick thing on the legality. There's kept agents and there's non-kept agents. Kept agents are ones who sell only one product. State Farm agents sell only State Farm product. You call them, you're calling the company. You are actually calling the company. And once the same thing Dave just talked about, you call your agent at State Farm and say, hey, I got a spot on the ceiling. They may be typing it up saying, well, we'll submit that claim for you, sir. And you're like, whoa, I just had a question to ask. So keep in mind, a guy like Dave works for you. Legally, as a matter of law, Dave is your agent. He is not the agent for the insurer. So when you call him, he's still, despite the other people say they're on your side, Dave's actually on your side. Someone who works for again, like Allstate agents and State Farm agents and probably some others I can't put my finger on right now. They work for the insurer. You call them, you're calling the company.
Absolutely. And that's a big deal. I need to call and text somebody right away and have that personal contact, that personal touch along with that, especially if I don't understand something. If I'm like, am I understanding this right? The policy looks like this. This is the damage I have. Can you help me out with this?
Yeah, and you call a kept agent with that question. They're like, yes, sir, we'll type that claim up for you right now.
Oof. And you mentioned claim volume, and those types of claims, even if you withdraw, that still stays with you.
Yeah.
Now, what doesn't count against you are hurricane claims. Now, those do not count against you on your loss runs. You may mention it and say, yeah, I had a Hurricane Milton claim, but it doesn't count against me, right? I mean, when you're looking at loss runs, how many losses have you had in the last several years, last 3 years? If Milton was one of them, you can say none. Now, if you had a pipe claim, you had a tree fall on your home, that's a claim that's going to stick with you for what? Is it 3 years, Dave, that you look back?
It's three up, 5. I mean, it's sometimes go up to 5. It depends on what the claim is. Water claims, for example, most companies go 5.
That's good.
And I got clients sometimes they'll call me and they'll say, well, I made a roof claim, and I'll go, any prior claims? Well, I had one last year for the roof, and the year before for the roof, and the year before that for the roof. And they're like thinking I'm going, the same roof, right? Like you didn't have it replaced in between or nothing. No. That's all for. And I go, yeah, this is gonna be a problem. we're gonna have a problem with this case if you're because that means there's 4 set of pictures, 4 set of inspections, all those things, and we're gonna take the first set, compare to the second, compare to the third, compare to the fourth, compare to right now, and if it doesn't look like 2 completely different roofs, then we can't help you. So, yeah. Oof.
Now I mentioned that about like not only shopping for the best policy for you, and then having an agent that's on your side to help you explain the nuances of the policies. And those nuances are more or less like understanding the new terms in insurance. I'll call it erosion, and that would be these limitations.
Yeah.
Those are the new things that are popping up. Where it's like, no, I'm not capping you from that. I'm not saying you don't have coverage in things that you want to match. I'm just saying that you're limited to 1%. You know, and my thing is like if you have, and we mentioned a little bit about like when we have damages to the floor, I think that's where the biggest discrepancy comes with the 1%.
Yeah.
Because if you have a floor that interlocks, there's no applying a 1% matching to the rest of the floor because they're interlocking. It's a functional thing, right? But like say, so you need to continue to go. There's no 1% matching in the flooring situation. Now, if the floor were separate, glued down, then it would apply to the surrounding ones where now you have to sand it down and paint it to match the repaired or replaced ones. That I get. As well as the thought of like, well, I had a dishwasher that leaked. All my lower cabinets are soaked. And prior to this 1% limitation, you would have to match the state statute says you have to match like kind, color, material, and continuity. If I said that right. But your uppers and your lowers would come into play, and even though they're unaffected, your uppers were unaffected, they would be replaced to match in date and color, kind, material, all that such as the lowers. Now, with the 1%, that's where I believe, outside of the flooring, the single glued down flooring, where that 1% should be, if you have it in your policy, should be applied, as well as the lower and upper situation. So if the uppers were soaked and the lowers weren't, either way, however you want to do it, the opposite would be applied to 1% of what you have in your coverage A. For instance, $500,000 would give you $5,000 to match the uppers to look like, to reface them and paint them. And so I think that's
talk about a complicated concept to explain to a homeowner, even sophisticated homeowners. I had one last week where they had a roof that had some damage, and it was pre-2000 and pre-2007 roof, and trying to explain to them how if they don't have 25% damage under the prior version of the Florida Building Code, they could only get 1%. I mean, it is, and these were sharp folks, man, and they were just like, what?
They had the big drawing board and they're writing the formulas on there. Like,
Venn diagrams and,
connecting this.
Arrows that indicate motion and, I mean, all sorts of stuff. I mean, it was just crazy, man. I'm trying to explain it, and I'm like, I get it. What I'm telling you is we can't get enough to replace your roof because of the 1% matching on a 2007 roof. There's not enough there under Florida Building Code to require them to pay for a replacement, because we're not at 25%. They had like 30 shingles missing. I mean, it just wasn't there. And we still got the case done. But explaining matching to folks who honestly say, but shouldn't it all match? And you go, yeah. And I always tell people, look, you're right. Just so we're all clear about discussion, you're correct that your floors and roof should match in color and quality and style. But it's not going to happen here because you have a policy with the matching thing is a huge problem for people, just because of the cost of flooring. Or these days, you don't have different color carpet in every different room. You don't have thresholds like you used to across every doorway, right. And you'll do a whole house in a single type of floor. Mm-hmm. And you tell people it's a $20,000 floor, and you tell them they got 10 damaged planks near the water heater, and they got $5,000 for the rest. They're like, what about the rest? I'm like, nope, not anymore.
Oof. And that's the part you, without Ben Affleck being in the middle, or not, did I say it right? Ben
Affleck?
Yeah. The accountant, right?
Yeah.
There you go. That's where I was going with it, trying to figure it all out.
Exactly.
Yeah. And anyways, my head went somewhere different. Anyways, but without having him to figure everything out for you, right? And then take everybody out in the insurance companies that deny you that full amount of payment, free of that. It is difficult to understand, and I think that's what the questions you need to ask up front. Exactly. Ask Dave in this policy, what happens if my floors get wet? What happens if my cabinets get wet? What happens if my roof gets wet or gets destroyed? And 20% of it does. All those are questions that need to be asked. What are my exposures?
Yeah, I mean, two things I throw out. To me, the matching, if I'm a consumer, ask Dave about the matching provision. If there's a policy that doesn't have 1% matching.
It doesn't have water damage.
Doesn't
caps,
have a $10,000 limited water damage endorsement. Those are the two things I see most often. See sewage backup sometimes. You can increase that here or there depending on the carrier.
Few companies, not a lot.
But limited water damage endorsement and 1% matching are two things that I see often where people stop and go, wait a minute. I'm not covered for that. No, you're covered. There's just a limitation.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, I don't know why Florida looked over at California. It's like, oh, great idea. You live in a state with like fires everywhere. Let's limit fire coverage. Great idea. Yeah. They're like, what? No. The opposite. You need to be giving fire coverage out like right. Tic Tacs. Like, what are you doing? But instead, they heavy limited over there and such, and it's like Hawaii. It's like, oh, volcanoes. Oh, sorry, you can't have it.
We have earthquake coverage.
But we have great volcano coverage here in Florida.
My earthquake coverage is solid.
Totally. Not even extra. It's like, you want to have volcano? $5. Got you. No problem. But now Florida's starting to do the same thing, and it's like, because the two major type of events that happen here in the state of Florida on homes are sewer backups and wind damage. You know, wind and water. You say water damage, right? But a lot of it starts from wind. But that backup, that sudden and accidental backup, and wind that brings in other damage and water and such to the inside of your home. Those are the two biggest things. And what happens? What the state of Florida is like? Oh yeah. Oh, cool. Let's limit it. That's a good idea. Let's not just shut them out, but let's give them 10,000.
That'd be wrong. It'd be wrong of us to shut them out.
Right. All right. But 10 grand, no problem. It's like 10 grand is a new. It's like with auto, right? I mean, it's just like 10 grand is like the new. Oh yeah, I'll just give you 10 grand and you just go away and everybody's good.
I did send Dave an email on the break though to give me a quote on my house.
Did you?
I did.
I did ask him about condo insurance too, so I think he's going to be getting a call from me too.
Yeah, but he'll get my email.
And if you can do better in Loggerhead than my main house, and that would be great. But Loggerhead has come in clutch because that was AAA executives, I believe in 2022 or 2023, go over to Tampa and start Loggerhead, and great policies that AAA had, and but better pricing. Right. So I'm like, this is amazing. So I think I was paying literally double with Heritage, went to Loggerhead, saved 50% and had a better policy.
Wow.
Yeah. That's great.
There you go.
So the best way to get new insurance is call david.jones@brightway.com. How else do we get a hold of you, Dave?
Best number, 321-280-5203. That is my direct line.
All right. And brightway.com, I imagine, overall website?
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. And thank you so much for being on the show. We love to talk agent type of stuff. I mean, we talk plenty of trash about the actual insurance companies, but having a fantastic agent, everybody needs one. And I thank you so much for being on the show with us tonight.
I appreciate it and had a great time.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Well, keep checking out our show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Talk to you guys next week. See you.